Hi everyone, and welcome to the Buff Life. Thanks so much for tuning in. I do appreciate you watching. So on this segment, I want to talk to you about a couple of things. But first off, let me give you an update. So on March 8th, I went to the doctor and I had the mammogram done that I talked about in one of my last videos about trying to get on the transplant list. So I had the mammogram done, and then I had a breast ultrasound done as well. And everything came back great. The doctor came in and told me, he's like, everything looks really good and that he's going to highly recommend me for my transplant. So thumbs up for that. It looks like I'm going to actually get on the list. So now that I've done all the exams and everything, so all of them have been really good. So that report goes to the transplant center. And then they take it to their committee, and the committee goes over everything and they decide whether or not I am a good candidate to put up for transplant. So I'm hoping to hear back from them in the next couple of weeks about whether or not I'm going to get on that list. Then once you're on the list, then now you are actually like in a line waiting for a kidney from either a cadaver or a living donor. And that's great because that's what you want to be. You want to be in that process. You don't want to be still doing the exam. So I'm hoping to get to that I would say in this, I'll give them a month, and then hopefully that process moves along pretty well. Now, what I've been told from my doctor and different people at the dialysis unit is that a lot of the patients there have been getting transplants. So that's kind of good for me because that means I stand a good chance of getting one pretty quickly. Now, and like I've told you before, in each state, the wait is different. Like in California, if I was still living in California, I would probably have a 7-year to 8-year wait for a kidney. Here in Texas at this particular hospital, which is Houston Methodist, I don't think the wait is quite that long. I've seen people that I have been in dialysis unit with very short time to get transplants. So I'm hoping that that process moves pretty quickly. And if it does, hello to the free world. So I'm really excited about that. I was just so excited on Friday after I left the mammogram place. And usually, no, it's not really what I would call a happy time procedure when you're doing it, because it's kind of painful when they're doing your mammograms. They're like smashing your breast in and out in all different directions. But I was just excited when I left because I was like, finally, I'm done with that process. And now I'm to the final part where they decide whether or not I get to be on the transplant list. I'm very excited about that. So keep your prayers going for me and keep wishing positive thoughts in my direction. With that being said, let me go ahead and talk to you about something else I wanted to talk to you about. So I've mentioned before that, you know, when you're a dialysis patient, you have really dry skin. And it's mainly because you're having, the machine is basically pulling a lot of the fluids from your body, so it leaves your skin deprived of the nutrients that it needs and the moisture that it needs. So as dialysis patients, we're like always looking for the best lotion that soothes that dry, itchy feeling that we have. So I've always gone through like a multiple amount of different lotions because they all say, oh, for extremely dry skin, and you get it and it feels like it's drying your skin out even further and you don't really see a difference. And I'm one of those people that when I buy one product, I stick to it for at least 6 months to give it an opportunity to work. So I've tried that with different ones. But today I'm going to talk to you about one that I've been using that I love, absolutely love it. I think it does a great job. And this is by no means a sponsored video at all. This isn't sponsored by this product. I just wanted to share with you what I have about this product because I think it will benefit people that have really dry skin, and hopefully you might want to use it. So the first one I'm going to talk to you about is it's called Neutrogena Hydro Boost, and this is what it looks like. Let me kind of put it in closely there. And this is Neutrogena Hydro Boost. This one actually is for your face, and it has hyaluronic acid in it. Now, this Hydrogena gel, it's a gel-based Hydro Boost, should I say. What happens is when you wash your face and you put this on, and you only really need a dab of it, and you can do your entire face. But when it's done, it makes your face feel moisturized, but it's very, very smooth and silky. So, and let me show you what it kind of looks like. So I don't know if the camera will pick it up too well, but it's kind of like a gel, water gel base. I think that's what it's a water gel base. And it is, I mean, wonder. Now, what happened, how I got onto this product was, I was actually walking in, I went into an Ulta Beauty, and we have Ulta Beauties here. I don't know if they're everywhere, but Ulta Beauty. And I was talking to a young lady there, and I was like, listen, I want a good moisturizer for my face, but I don't want to pay $80 for it. She's like, well, have you tried the Neutrogena Hydro Boost? And I'm like, never even heard of that one. So she took me over and she had me try just a little bit of it on the back of my hand, and I was like, oh, that's kind of good. I said, you know, it was like $20. I was like, $20 is nothing. I'll just try this one and see if it works. If it doesn't work, I've only invested $20 into it. So I tried it there in the store on my hand, and then when I got home, I washed my face and I dried it, and then I put the Hydro Boost on, and it was the most incredible feeling because it felt like I felt moisturized. I didn't feel tight, and I felt like when I touched my face, it was like really, really smooth. And I was like, wow, that is amazing. But let's see how long it lasts. And throughout the day, I was doing different things, and I was like, wow, my face still feels really good. And so I was like, you know, I'm going to give this an honest try. So for the next 2 months, I used only this Hydro Boost Neutrogena gel on my face. And it was like night and day. Like if I even thought about skipping on it, I could tell instantly. So I just continued to use it. And throughout the time, I think it's restored a little bit of the balance back to my face as far as the dryness. Because usually when I would wash my face and let it dry and use other moisturizers, I put it on and it would be moisturized for that few minutes, and then after that my face would look really dry, and I could actually see the dryness from like my eye area. I would see it dry right around here. And with this though, I don't see any of that. My face is really, really smooth. So I figured, well, if you're gonna do that, what other products do they have that you might really like? Now I already used the Neutrogena shower gel, and I loved it. I've always loved it, and I get it in different fragrances, and I've loved all of them. So I was like, well, what else do they have? So I just happened to be going to the pharmacy, and I was picking up medication, and I was like, you know, let me just see if I see anything good on there that I might try. And lo and behold, I find the Neutrogena Hydro Boost, and this is the Whipped Body Balm. Now, I was like, if this stuff is anything at all like the facial moisturizer, this is going to be awesome. So I kind of opened it up, you know, as we do in the store. We always open up products and we want to smell them. And I did a smell test, and then I looked, and that's what the balm looks like. Okay. Oh my God. I could not wait to take a shower and put this on. So I took a shower, put it on, and this gel literally saved a life here. It's the Hydro Boost. It was awesome. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I didn't even feel like I normally feel like after I take the Neutrogena shower gel. I mean, it does its part. I like the clean feeling that I feel. But I'm also still going to be dry afterwards because that's just the way it is when you're on dialysis. So using this and putting this on, and I was just like, I don't know if I even put that where you guys could see it. Yeah, there it is. The Neutrogena shower. So this is the Hydro Boost Body Balm. I was like, wow, I loved it. So, and this is dry to extra dry skin, if you can see that on there. It says it like right there at the bottom area, dry to extra dry. And it is exactly what it says it is. It really works very well. So then we have both of them. We have the one for your face, one for your skin, your body. But then I was like, okay, there was a sale going on. Of course, you know I love a good sale. So then I got the Hydro Boost lotion too. As you can see that. And this is awesome too. And this one is sensitive and dry skin, instantly quenches for clinically proven supple hydrated skin, and it really does that. So when you put this on, and I'll just put a little bit in my hand because I made sure my hands were dry because I wanted to show you guys. My hands are like really dry. So when you put it on, I'm just rubbing it around my hands here. I don't know if you guys can see this, but do you see how they look like nice and moisturized now? I mean, it is amazing what it does to your skin. And it stays this way. It doesn't just like go away. You know, some of them you rub them in and then 10 minutes later your hands feel extremely dry again. Not with this stuff. I highly recommend this stuff. If you can go to the store and get it, you are saving your body. You are living your best life with this right here. The Neutrogena Hydro Boost. And it says in here, body gel cream. And also with hyaluronic acid, Skin's Advanced Hydrator. And they're not lying to you. This is a Johnson & Johnson product. And over the years, Johnson & Johnson, they have made some products that people have issues with, but I've never really had a problem with anything they make. But this Neutrogena is definitely the thing to do. So again, if you are interested in this, one's called the Hydro Boost Whipped Body Cream. And let's see, how many ounces is this? 6.7 ounce tube right here. And I think it was like $9, maybe less than, I'm not really even sure. But because they had a sale, they had, if you buy two, you get the third one free. I got 3 of them. And I figured I'd try one of each. So I got them all. But I ended up, because I already had the Neutrogena Hydro Boost for my face, I just got 2 of these. And I think I got 1 of the actual lotion. So, like I said, Hydro Boost Whipped Body Balm, 6.7 ounces there. And then the Hydro Boost Body Gel Cream, 16 ounces is what this is. And they were to me, they were reasonably priced. I mean, if you want something good for your body, you know, that's not bad to go out and spend that. I spent like $20. So I was happy about that because just this alone is $20. And I was like, wow. So I got 3 bottles for my whole entire body for like $20 because each one was like $9.99, $8.99. I think I want to say that's the price on them, and I got the third one free. So good deal. So I just want to share those with you really quick here before I got any further into what I was going to talk about. If you have questions about them, I'll try to put those in the description of what they were. Also, so let's go on into what I call life uninterrupted. So we have had in the news R. Kelly, Michael Jackson, and a ton of other folks going through different issues in life, mainly being accused of different crimes. I've focused before on R. Kelly, and I've told you how I feel about that. And then when he got rearrested for his child support of $163,000, I was just really like, you know, dude, you know, if you're already facing charges for sexual assault and different things that you have 10 charges, don't you think if you had $163,000 just sitting there and you haven't paid child support, don't you think you should pay that up and not get yourself in more trouble? So we don't know what he said in that courtroom when he went back for his case to be heard about his child support. But apparently he told them he did not have it. And so they rearrested him and put him in jail for that. He had until 10 a.m. on, I believe it was March 6th to pay it, and he didn't. So he got rearrested, and he went to jail for a couple of days, and then he just got released. I think he got released on Friday or Saturday because someone anonymously paid the $163,000. Now, whoever paid that for him, you shouldn't have paid it for him. And let me tell you why. This man has made millions of dollars, and he's committed all these crimes, and then you, whoever you anonymously was, you go and bail him out. Now, I don't know who you are, if you're a man or woman or whoever. If you have children, if you have daughters that are around the age of these women being assaulted, you are just insulting your children. You have no respect. That is a child support that he's responsible to pay for his own children. No one should be paying that for him. He needs to come out of his pocket and pay it. And if you did that, you shouldn't have. You done wrong in my book. That is a man. He laid down to have those children with his wife. He owes it. And if you go and bail him out now, he's going to feel like the world is going to continue to bail him out like they did when he had those original charges against him. They felt sympathy for him and said he didn't do it. And we all know R. Kelly did what he did. And we know what he's capable of now. And this interview that he gave with Gayle King, to me, was the most hilarious thing I'd ever seen on TV. And I'll tell you why. He made himself get even more incriminated at the way he answered the questions and the way he reacted. That rage that he showed on TV is probably the same rage that those girls experienced. And to say something like, when Gayle said, what about the accusations of all these women? And he says, they're lies. You mean to tell me there were 50 different accounts of what you've done and every person is lying? And most of them didn't even know each other. So their stories were individually based. Therefore, they didn't corroborate everything together. They came up with their own information. And I don't feel like 50 individuals are all conspiring against you to get money from you. And he was just like in a thing like, he didn't say actual facts. This is where I was. No, he is literally just trying to blame. He is doing what all people do when they're guilty. Deflect it to other people. It's everybody else's fault. It's never his fault. And then when he got up and yelled, "You mess up my life, you're effing my life up. This is my effing life I'm fighting for." I'm like, dude, you should have thought about that before you did what you did. Why are you hanging out at malls, hanging out at high schools for these young girls, and then say that you didn't have anything to do with them? And to think that every one of the women that you've dated has been disgruntled except for these two that you completely brainwashed into believing that you really truly love them, when really what you've done is probably abuse them. So, to that, he just made himself look worse. I have no respect for him at this point because he's just, he needs some serious help. And I heard somebody on the news say they don't know if he should go to prison, but he does need some kind of help. Well, let's just think about it this way. If you leave a person out there on the street that's doing this, and then try to give them help while they're out there, they're going to continue to do it because they've gotten away with it. Now, you sit there and you insult all these women and say, well, we're just going to give him some help on the street. No, he needs to be locked up and pay for his crimes, just like everybody else pays for their crimes. And just because he's a celebrity, you have more sympathy for him? No, you should have less sympathy for him because he didn't have to do what he did. There was plenty of women out here over the age that he should have been dealing with, and not these young ladies. He should not have been dealing with 14, 15, 16-year-old women, even 17-year-old. He was like basically he was a pedophile. That's basically what he is. And it's like, do we want to encourage that behavior or do we want to put a stop to that behavior? So people were talking about that, and they were saying, maybe he's just not, maybe he just really is innocent. In no means, shape, or form is R. Kelly innocent. And if you believe that, you need to think about that really deeply, all about everything that's coming to light. It's just like all these other people that have been accused of it. They don't want to admit it, and then they finally end up admitting it. And what they did is the best thing. They admitted it, they dealt with it, they got penalized for it, and now they're paying the price for it. You can't just be in it. He says he's going to give up 30 years of his career to us. Well, those girls are giving up their lives to you, and you've abused them in the process. They go into dealing with you wholeheartedly thinking that you're going to do right by them, thinking that you're going to get them singing careers and all that stuff out of it. And you haven't done anything but abuse them for your own pleasure. Wow. But I'm going to tell you what took the cake and just put the icing all over the cake and smeared it in was the new SNL skit that was done. And I think it has Leslie Jones and I think his name is Keenan. They did the Gail and R. Kelly skit in their terms, and it was hilarious. It was hilarious. I laughed so hard, I could not believe it. I was like, Gail King was played by Leslie, and she did a great job. It was just spot on. And then Keenan, of course, he played R. Kelly. And the things he was saying, he was doing R. Kelly, but the way he did it, like, is that the camera over there? And he would point to a plant. And she was like, no, that's a plant. And he was like, oh, and he couldn't spell. It was just funny. So if you haven't had the chance to watch that, make sure you watch the SNL skit on R. Kelly. It was just done, and it was so funny. I was like, wow, that was ingenious to do that skit. So you have to ask yourself now, what is R. Kelly thinking now? Is he watching himself in this interview at home and saying, wow, I shouldn't have done that? Imagine what his lawyer is saying. I'm pretty sure his lawyer told him, you shouldn't be doing that. But his ego so big, he felt like all I got to do is get on this camera and tell these people, and all my fans will believe me. You might have some people that's out there believing you, but to me, you just made yourself look even worse. And the fact that most people, their lawyers would be there with them, or a representative said, don't say that, we can't talk about that. It's like nobody was there telling him anything. They just let him go on for 80 minutes of an interview with Gayle King about all these different things. And he just showed his ass. And that's the truth. He showed it, and he let us see how those women are probably seeing him in the same light. So I'm just anxious to hear what's going to happen in this whole court proceeding, and hopefully we will get some resolution to this and find out for sure and make R. Kelly pay for the things that he's done. I don't think because you're a celebrity you should be getting off in any shape or form. So enough about R. Kelly. Let's go on to something else now. This is another thing that I saw in the news. I don't know if it was nationwide, but I heard about it here in Texas. They found basically a house where a woman and her husband had been keeping their children in this house that was like dilapidated. And they were both high. And the kids they went to go into the room where the kids were. And she had like a 5-month-old baby and I think like a 3-year-old child. And both of them literally weighed the same. The baby was severely anorexic, they said, and just like bruises and stuff all over the baby, and the little toddler the same way. And the parents were upset and tried to fight with the police because they said there's nothing wrong with their kids. And the police asked them, why is this place so filthy? They were like, because we're lazy. Like, they didn't even feel bad about it. So now they're in court about that. But recently here, I would say like the last 6 months or so, I have seen so many cases of these parents just neglecting their children. And it's really scary to me because it's like the younger generation bringing these kids up that they just feel like kids are disposable. And I don't understand that, how you can have a child and then treat them the way you treat them. And then get mad when someone else has a problem with it. I mean, it's like they have never heard of protection. If you didn't want children, then you should have protection. And it really bothers me that all these kids have to suffer over this. Like, what is going on in this world where these people are just neglecting children, abusing children, and even the elderly? People used to have respect for their elders. Now you find that these younger generations that are taking care of the elderly are abusing them or leaving them to just lay in their own urine and feces in the room and just die, and they go in and find them. I mean, come on. It's like the humanity has gone in this world. The empathy is just nowhere to be found. But I feel bad for these people because, this is, unfortunately, it's not an everyday thing where you have to have someone that you take care of who is elderly or just unable to take care of themselves. Some people just can't handle the responsibility, and I get that. Then you shouldn't take on the task. And if you get to the point where you cannot handle that responsibility, then you need to try and get contact the social services department, find out what can help you with this process. Because, I mean, it is not easy to take care of somebody, especially an adult, and you have your own life. And it's a huge responsibility that when you get it put on you, some people can just go right into it and start doing it and adapt really quickly, but there are others who just can't, and they do it the best to their ability, and then they just give up. So we don't want to put any of that kind of pressure on anyone. So I advise you, if you're in a situation where you are tasked at taking care of someone who is elderly or sick or whatever, and you feel like you can't handle the responsibility, you need to contact social services. You need to try and find and get them all the help that you can, and make sure that they are being taken care of well, because you wouldn't want anyone to do that to you when you get older, or if something happens to you in any case. So I feel sorry for you, and all I can say to you is try and get some help on your own. Sometimes you need a support group to get you through those particular situations. So, also I wanted to talk to you guys about one other thing that I had been noticing, and this has happened recently. I've been watching this TV, well, it's not, yeah, I guess it is a TV show on the BBC network, based in London, and it's called If You Can't Pay, We'll Take It Away. And it is the most amazing show. This show is about basically people that rent over in the UK, in the UK, and basically what happens is they stop paying their rent, and then the landlords end up having to take them into eviction process. But I guess the laws are a little bit different over there, because these people have cases on this show where people have not paid rent for 6 years, 10 years, and they work on the pound system over there, so they'll be owing like £20,000 in back rent, and the people are still living in these places that the private owners own. And I'm just like astounded. It's an addicting show. If you get a chance to go on YouTube and watch it, it's called If You Can't Pay, We'll Take It Away. And then there's another one called Nightmare Tenants and Slum Landlords. Very good. But basically, their rules over there state, basically they can take them into the eviction process. But for some reason, the judges are like giving these people more and more time. And if they go to court and say, well, there's no heat in the home, then the judge will offset the case for a few more months and tell the basic landlord, you have to go in and fix this. But there may not absolutely be nothing wrong in the apartment or the flat, they call it. It may just be the tenant making these things up so they can get more and more time. The part that bothers me is, okay, I understand people may not have money, but if you have been delinquent on your rent for 6 years, what have you been doing with your money? Here's a kicker. When these people are actually set out for eviction, like they serve them with the paperwork after the judge has said, okay, I'm going to give you a writ, which is basically a form stating that you now have legal right to evict your tenant. It gives them another 14 days to get out, and on that 14th day, they're supposed to be getting out. So on that 14th day, if they haven't gotten out, you can't go and just forcibly take them out. Now you have to contact the court and get the bailiffs to come out and evict them properly. So these people wait till the bailiffs come out, and the bailiffs get there and tell them you have 1 hour to pack whatever you need and get out of here. You have to make arrangements to get the rest of your stuff with the landlord. These people are like so upset. They're just like, I can't believe this. Y'all don't have any notice. No one told me anything. Like they just go off. Like they feel like they have no understanding of why they're getting evicted. And I'm just like, that would not happen here in the U.S. like this. I mean, you can't go 6 years without paying rent without something really happening. I mean, 6 years, can you imagine that? And here's the thing. So the tenant hasn't paid rent in 6 years. You've had to pay all these court fees and court costs and all that to try and get them evicted on top of what they owe you, right? And here's the kicker. They probably will never get that money back. Okay, so when they finally evict them from the house with the process of the bailiffs, that costs them money to send the bailiffs out there. So they finally get them out of the house, and then they'll turn. You can hear these people like, "What are you doing here? You don't have the right to it. This is my house." He's like, "I own it." Even the owners cannot come on the property. They consider that harassment, and these people just do it. What they do is they'll move in, they'll pay rent for like the first couple of months, and then they'll stop. Now, if you haven't paid rent in 6 years, A, where's the money? And B, why haven't you paid it? You get some of these tenants that get in there and they don't even want to pay rent. They feel like they don't need to pay rent. So these landlords have continued to pay the mortgage on that property and continue to have everything else on because they can't turn any of the electric or anything off. They can't stop doing any of the things they were doing before. It has to stay the same. So you imagine having a house that you're renting out to someone for an income, and for 6 years they're living in their rent-free under your expense, and you didn't ask for that, but over there it happens. So that's a show that I want to talk to you guys about today. I know this segment has been a little bit around in different fashions, but definitely it's a show worth checking out. I'll put that in the description box if you want to look at it. I guarantee you, when you watch it, you're going to get hooked. I've been getting a couple people hooked on it already, but definitely check it out. It's definitely worth seeing. So on that note, how have you guys been? What's been going on with you? Any new changes? Anything exciting going on in your lives? I hope that you are having a good life. I hope that you are not letting any negative people bring you down. I hope that you are just being inspired all around the place. If not, look within yourself. You know, make sure that when you are sitting there talking and living, you're living the best possible life that you can without interruption. And that means without negativity, without being depressed, just feeling great. And if you need some inspiration, you gotta, sometimes just watching something funny on TV can give you a little inspiration. Or something so innocent as watching people put these America's Funniest Videos on, or people tripping and falling and people filming it and laughing with each other. Sometimes laughter can be the best medicine for you. So if you're feeling down, find somebody that you can talk to, find a program that inspires you and keeps you going. I mean, really, TV is there to entertain you. So make it entertain you. And then make sure that whoever it is that's in your life that's negative, you leave that alone, because they have no place at all in your future. And if they don't have a place in your future, then there's no reason to deal with them at all, right? And I talked about this, I don't know if I talked about this last video actually, but I was looking at a program about addiction, and it dawned on me for one thing. With addiction, it's like hard for people to get off of that, and it's like they have the need and feel the want for the drug of their choice. And I thought to myself, would I ever be that way? And I can't say that I would never do it, because we never know what happens to us in our lives. But I thought about that hard process, and I said, I wish that there was some way that people with addictions could think to themselves. When I was a kid and I was dreaming and I thought about what I was going to be in the future, Did that dream include an addiction to any type of drug? You know why you didn't dream that you were on drugs in the future? Because it has no place in your future. And if it had no place in your future, then it has no place in your present. You have to let it go. Sometimes the things that we try and hold on to is the very things that God's trying to rip away, right? So let's try and focus on the positive things in our life, the good things that are happening. We have so much other things out there in the world that are trying so hard to bring us down. Just don't make time for it. Just keep it going forward. No matter what people tell you, just keep doing it. It's like this right now. When I'm sitting here talking to you, and I'm just coming from the heart. Nobody might ever watch what I'm doing, but I really don't care if they don't watch. You know why? Because this is what I'm doing because I like it, and I'm making myself feel good when I do this and get this out. I'm talking to whoever is listening. And I appreciate each and every one of you. But if no one watches it, this is still my avenue of communication that I'm getting out. But I hope that many will watch and understand what I'm talking about. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure and click the subscribe button and also the alert button so you know that when my next video is coming out. I wish you guys well. Thanks so much for watching. And you guys have your best life, okay? Bye.